You're just a couple days away from surgery, and you've got a few things to do to prepare. Let me give you a few tips that might help you. What you're mostly preparing for is the recovery process after surgery once you get out of the hospital, wherever you're going to be staying for about 2 weeks before your post-op appointment. And there are three things you want to get ready for. One is you want to go grocery shopping and get plenty of food for at least the 2 weeks. And think about three things in terms of groceries. One, get a lot of protein, whether it's protein drinks, protein bars, even meat if you're able to eat it. It seems counterintuitive, but I'll explain later why that's important. Secondly, you want to get food for like you would when you get sick, the BRAT diet, because you'll likely be nauseous and not feeling too well and be on a lot of pain meds for those 2 weeks. You can still have solid food if you want to try to eat a balanced diet like normal, but if you keep in mind things like oatmeal and applesauce and bananas would be a good pairing. And you want to get a lot of liquids. So sure, you'll be drinking plenty of water, but Gatorade or something else that might be refreshing to you, something you can drink a lot of. Once you get your food prepared, you want to think about your bed and your sleeping quarters. Making sure you've got a place to be sleeping for the next 2 weeks that's not too high or elevated. So if you're using your bed, if there's a box spring, you might want to remove that. Or think about sleeping on a couch or a recliner. You're going to be sleeping on your back, and it's going to be difficult and painful for you to get in and out of the bed if it's too high. Third thing you want to think about is showering. Get that ready by putting in some sort of shower stool. It's very helpful when you're showering to have something to sit down on. And if you can, get some sort of suctioning grip. They sell this thing where it suctions to the wall and helps you get up and out of the shower. You may even have to have your care person help you with showering for a while, but that shower stool will be a really great idea. So you've got your house or lodging area prepared. Then you want to think about the day before surgery. Unfortunately, you'll be going through a lot more testing. Again, nothing near as extensive as the 2 days of testing you went through a few months back. But they will be repeating a lot of labs and IV tests. This was about from 8 o'clock, I think, till 2 or 3, a lot of lab work again. Interspersed with some more consults. I met with 4 people, social worker and nurse coordinator, to see how I was doing. Then you meet with a nutritionist who goes over what you need to be eating for that 2-week period of recovery, even they've already bought your groceries. But they'll also tell you some things about long-term nutrition as well. The high protein intake that you want to have, it seems contradictory because you're told after a kidney donation, you have to cut back on your protein because you don't have 2 kidneys to process all that. But for the first couple of months, you'll want to actually train your existing kidney to work harder. And that existing kidney will actually grow in size 50, 60, 70% in order to compensate for that missing kidney. One thing you can do to help that is actually consume lots of protein to train it to have to work hard and filter out that protein. But after a couple of months, then for the rest of your life, you need to cut back on your protein intake. The last thing was meeting with the surgeon. Surgeon gave me a lot of information about how the surgery is going to go, where there would be making incisions and what those incisions would be for. There would be 2 incisions to the sort of your side. They'll put the instruments in. And I'll talk about this more for the next video, talking about the surgery. And it's a pretty long incision from your belly button pretty much down to your crotch, where they'll actually go in and extract the kidney. But he was explaining what they'll do and answer any questions, and discussed with me how they decided to take my left kidney, which is the one they typically want to take. The reason being is it's more risky to take the kidney on your right side, so there's more things have to move around. In cases where your left kidney is a lot better than the right kidney, they may take the right kidney because they want to leave you with the best one. Interestingly, my left kidney was my better kidney, so I joked with my sister how she got the better kidney, but he explained that it wasn't better enough to justify the additional risks of going into the right side. One thing that really stood out to me is something that he said before we left, and that was, I want you to know that tomorrow you will be the most important person in the hospital. And whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but it's encouraging to hear how you're prioritized. You're doing something very brave and self-sacrificing, and they certainly acknowledge, recognize that. Before I left the hospital, they give you a bottle of antibacterial soap that you'll use to shower with the morning of the surgeries. Before you actually come to the hospital, you want to shower using this soap. And one instruction is to shower really well with it, but don't use it on your private parts. I guess it's really strong. Would not be a great idea. So there it is. You're ready to have the surgery in the morning. I would encourage you lastly to relax and enjoy the rest of that day the best you can. I got to spend time with my care person, my sister and brother-in-law, and he bought my sister and me massages for that evening. We went to a nice restaurant, had ice cream, just sort of hung out and enjoyed each other's company. And sort of geared up for that next morning, early in the morning, to check in for surgery. I hope that's a little bit insightful for you to kind of prepare for the recovery and what to expect the day before. I'll talk to you in my next video about the surgery itself and the recovery process. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this content. And I want to invite you to add comments below and join in the conversation. I'd love to engage with you in that. Also, if you know anybody who is going through this process or even just thinking about it, I think you'll share with them these videos. And if you've gone through that yourself, I hope you're inspired maybe to create your own content and get out there information about what it's like. Again, I thank you. I hope this has been of help to you.